Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to take a deep dive into the fascinating story of the Washington quarter dollar, a coin that has become one of the most recognizable pieces of American currency, not only because of its long history in circulation, but also because of the immense numismatic value certain key dates, mint marks, and era varieties have achieved over the decades, making it one of the most studied coins in U.S. history. So let's begin by looking at how the Washington quarter first came into existence, as the idea for this coin was originally conceived in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, with the Treasury Department wanting to honor the first president of the United States in a way that would be lasting and meaningful, and after some debate it was decided that Washington's portrait should appear on the quarter, replacing the Standing Liberty design that had been struck from 1916 to 1930, with sculptor John Flanagan profile of Washington ultimately chosen for the obverse design, and this portrait of George Washington facing left has remained essentially unchanged for nearly a century, though with some modifications over time, making it an enduring symbol of both national pride and continuity in U.S. coinage, while the reverse of the coin featured a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings clutching arrows and olive branches, a traditional American emblem of strength and peace. So from its very first year of issue, the Washington quarter attracted attention both as a circulating coin and as a collectible, especially since the earliest issues were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, giving them intrinsic bullion value as well as numismatic appeal, and collectors today continue to seek out these early silver issues, particularly in uncirculated grades, since they represent the classic era of U.S. coinage when silver was still used in everyday commerce, and the Washington quarter's silver content remained until 1964 when rising silver prices forced the U.S. Mint to transition to the clad composition of copper-nickel that we see in modern quarters. So when examining the history of this coin, we see a story that spans multiple eras of American history, from the Great Depression, through World War II, the post-war boom, the bicentennial celebrations, and even into the 21st century when special statehood quarters and national park series transformed the Washington quarter into one of the most popular collector programs ever undertaken by the Mint, and along this long journey certain Washington quarters have sold for absolutely jaw-dropping sums at auction, including a spectacular 1932 D in mint state condition that realized over $500,000, with the highest recorded price for a Washington quarter being more than $1.5 million depending on condition and rarity, which sits right in the middle of this narrative to emphasize just how valuable the coin can be, since the combination of low mintages, strong collector demand, and superb preservation can turn an ordinary pocket change coin into a millionaire's prize, and that fact alone continues to attract collectors, investors, and historians alike, as they study the subtle differences in die varieties, strike quality, luster, toning, and mint mark placement, all of which can make a tremendous difference in value. But beyond the headline auction prices, we also must understand the historical context of the quarter's release. For in 1932, the nation was in the grips of the Great Depression, and the government wanted to inspire confidence and patriotism by honoring George Washington, and thus the quarter quickly became a symbol of stability during uncertain times. And the design was so well received that it was adopted permanently rather than just for the one-year commemorative issue originally intended. So from that moment onward, generations of Americans have grown up with Washington's portrait in their pockets, teaching children the face of the first president, and embedding his image in the national consciousness, while numismatists have dissected every detail of the coin, from double die errors such as the famous 1934 double die obverse to the rare transitional errors of 1964 and 1965 when silver planchets were sometimes struck with the new clad dies, creating extremely valuable off-metal errors. And let us not forget the San Francisco proofs that began to appear in the 1930s and later became staples of collector sets, or the special 1976 bicentennial quarters with their colonial drummer reverse that celebrated America's 200th birthday and remained beloved by collectors and the public alike. And as we move into modern times, the statehood quarter program launched in 1999 took the Washington quarter to new heights of popularity, with 50 unique reverse designs issued over a decade, one for each state, sparking a national collecting craze that introduced millions of new enthusiasts to coin collecting, and this was followed by the America the Beautiful series in 2010, which featured national parks and monuments, continuing the long tradition of using the Washington quarter as a canvas for celebrating American history and culture. But through all these changes, Washington's iconic portrait has endured, a constant reminder of the nation's roots. And because of this longevity, the Washington quarter is not just a coin but a chronicle of American life over nearly a century. So when you look at this coin, you are not just seeing money, you are seeing a piece of history, a work of art, a collector's treasure, and in some cases, a fortune waiting to be discovered in your pocket change, which is why the Washington quarter remains one of the most fascinating and rewarding coins to study, collect, and treasure for generations to come, and the more you learn about it, the more you realize that this simple coin embodies an entire world of stories, values, and opportunities that continue to inspire people around the world. As we continue exploring the Washington quarter dollar, it becomes increasingly clear that this coin is not simply 25 cents of pocket change, but a powerful storytelling medium that reflects the shifting tides of American history, culture, and economy, and the deeper we go into its journey, the more layers we uncover. From its birth during the Great Depression in 1932 as a bicentennial tribute to George Washington, to its decades-long role as the workhorse of U.S. coinage, to its transformation into one of the most collected series in the world, and each of these phases brings its own mysteries, challenges, and opportunities for collectors, because unlike coins that exist only as artifacts behind glass, the Washington quarter has lived in the hands of ordinary Americans, passed through grocery store counters, gas stations, jukeboxes, and arcade machines. And this ubiquity means that hidden treasures can still be found today in everyday circulation, and yet, as familiar as it seems, the Washington quarter contains within it a rich world of rarity and nuance, for while hundreds of millions were struck, it is often the smallest details that separate a common coin from a rare prize worth thousands, whether that be a double die obverse from the 1940s, a rare mint mark combination like the 1932 D or 1932 S, a transitional error during the 1965 shift from silver to clad composition, or modern rarities like the 2004 Wisconsin extra leaf quarters and the 2020 W. Issues intentionally struck in limited numbers, and these nuances fuel the excitement of the hobby, because the possibility of pulling a valuable coin from circulation makes every Washington quarter a tiny mystery waiting to be solved, and when we consider auction results, the impact is undeniable, as record-breaking sales of pristine examples have proven time and again that condition is king, with top-graded silver issues and rare mintages selling for tens of thousands and even six-figure prices, placing the Washington quarter alongside the most sought-after collectibles in American numismatics. And yet beyond the numbers and rarity charts lies something even more powerful: the emotional connection collectors form with these coins, for many remember searching through rolls of quarters as children. Others recall the excitement of the 50-state quarters program that turned everyday spending into a national collecting phenomenon, and still others treasure heirloom pieces passed down from parents or grandparents who tucked away a handful of silver quarters before 1965, each story reminding us that these coins are not just metal discs but vessels of memory, and that is why they continue to inspire not only collectors but also historians, educators, and casual enthusiasts, because the Washington quarter is living history, a reminder of the past that still circulates in the present, and as we look to the future, it is certain that its legacy will only deepen, with modern collector issues, enhanced finishes, proof sets, and unique mint marks ensuring that Washington's image will continue to grace new designs while linking us to the origins of the series. And so whether you approach the Washington quarter as a potential investment, a hobby, or simply a curiosity, you are participating in a tradition stretching across nearly a century. And this tradition thrives because people still find wonder in something as simple as a quarter, proof that great value is not always measured in dollars but in the stories coins carry. And when you next hold a Washington quarter, perhaps worn smooth by decades of circulation, remember that it could be more than spare change. It could be a piece of numismatic history, a potential rarity, or even a record-breaking treasure waiting to be discovered. And in that sense, the Washington quarter dollar will always be more than money. It will be a cultural landmark and a cornerstone of American coin collecting. Thanks for watching.